and hello to you, ladies and gents, boys and girls from wherever you are around the world. To all my global girls and guys, hello, and thank you so much for tuning in. Happy New Year! This is our first episode back in 2024, and we're opening up the new year on a very high note, of course, bringing you another global guest who is going to be joining us to unpack, of course, the producing industry in much more detail from a global perspective. But I would like to thank you once again for taking the time to be with us today. This is called the Vuyo Show. We're coming to you live from New York City, and every single Monday to Friday, we give you and bring you your daily dose of global goodness. And of course, I am your host, your favorite global darling, Vuyo. We have a good show lined up for you, in store for you. So please sit back, relax, and let's enjoy the next couple of minutes together, you and I and our incredible guest. Before I let her in and before I introduce you to her, I'd like to remind you to please follow us on social media. We are at _Vuyo Show across all social media platforms. So let's get in touch, let's get engaged, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe our YouTube channel where you can watch this and so much more. And visit our website, www.thevuyoshow.com. And of course, to see this and so much more. I'm so excited for this guest. You are going to love her. You're going to learn so much from her, and you're definitely going to take so many lessons from this conversation with you to start off this brand new year on an incredibly high note. Are you ready? Because I am ready. So please, ladies and gents, help me welcome our guest for today, our first guest for 2024. She's in the virtual studio. She's a podcast host and woman entrepreneur who's advocating for more diversity in the entertainment industry. She's a highly successful business leader, an internationally acclaimed producer and director, distributor, and of course, a lecturer. Ladies and gents, the one and only Mounia Aram.
Thank you, Vuyo, for having me.
Oh man, it feels like we are kind of catching up again from our last time we saw each other in New York. But I mean, what an incredible way to just start off the brand new year. I think you are the perfect person to kind of kickstart off the year with. This is our first episode for the year. So thank you for your time and thank you for joining me today, all the way from Paris, right? Are you in Paris right now?
Yes, I'm in freezing Paris.
I'm sure it's not as freezing as New York, but it might be, right? Because it's so freezing here as well. But how have you been? How's the festive season?
It was good, so relaxing, and I'm ready to kick ass now.
I love that. I'm ready to kick. That's literally the energy that I think we should be getting into this new year with. Like, standing on business, kicking ass, being, sure, and being just going for it. Being goal orientated is definitely what we need. I think last year, a lot of us, because of the COVID-19, we were kind of settling in this brand new normality. And I think this year we all know what's going on. We all know what's up. Now it's time to just execute and kick things off. But in reflection, I did give an introduction of who you are and what exactly, you do. But in reflection, let's just, before we get into the nitty gritties, touch base on how 2023 and before that has been for you, as in business and in the industry. As we reflect back in the past, how has this past year been for you?
I mean, talking about 2023, to be honest with you, was not an easy year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was really challenging. I think we got exhausted with COVID, with all the energy that I have put together to build my business. I started my company in 2019 and doing everything online. And then, business-wise, it was really a struggle. But overall, still, I enjoyed my journey. In 2023, I managed to travel again, and I always travel. I love traveling. I meet with a lot of people all over the world. I've been to Egypt for the first time. I gave master classes, and business-wise, I'm still developing projects, and I'm in an industry that is really long to see the result. It's a long process, and sometimes it can be discouraging. But you need to stay persistent, and it's like roller coaster.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely an industry for the long game, and when you see the long game, you're able to then stay in it to be able to kind of finish the course. But let's take it a little bit further back, right? And I love getting a bit of context from my guests in order to be able to understand what led you to this particular point, so that if someone's watching and someone is listening to us right now, they can be able to relate to some of the stories that you have and be able to place themselves within your world so that they can be able to kind of then follow the journey and trajectory that you have. Um, you have a bit of background, a bit of history within the continent of Africa as well as Europe, and you're a combination of these two worlds. Share with us what that was like and what that looked like and how that experience was for you. If you can just give us context to even your upbringing as well.
Do you mean personally or professionally?
So it could be both, right? It could be both.
I was born in Morocco. I was born in Casablanca, but I grew up in France. I came as a baby, and all my siblings were born in France. So it's a really funny coincidence. I'm the only one born in Africa. But growing up, I felt really privileged to have both cultures. For me, yeah, I was having that. It's really I'm super proud of my culture, my double culture. I'm French, I'm Moroccan, and I've learned to speak Arabic since I was a baby. So for me, it's a big advantage compared to others. That and maybe that's the reason why it was easy for me to speak multiple languages. Because when you grew up speaking two languages as a baby,
Mm-hmm.
it's easy then to switch from French to English, French to Spanish, French to Arabic, French. So growing up in these multicultural environments, for me it made me very curious, because I needed and I felt the need and the urge to connect with my roots, because I understood very quickly that I was not 100% French, because a lot of people kept asking me, where are you from? And when I answer, I'm from Paris, I'm French, and they say, no, where are you really from? Okay, so I'm gonna dig a little bit. Yeah, I'm from Morocco, so Morocco is beautiful. Morocco is it's in my DNA, so I should be proud of that. So
Mm.
I wore that as a pride, and then I got interested in getting to know more about where I come from. So that's why I decided to study Arabic languages in university, because even though I spoke Arabic, it was not very perfect, because it was a mix of French and Moroccan. But I needed also to learn about the religion and also the history of my country and North Africa, that I was really interested in. So I chose my study and the university in not for a specific career, but to connect with my roots and my origins, to understand clearly where I come from. And I heard, I think it's a say, you to know where you're going, you need to know where you
Where you
come
come
from.
from? Mm-hmm.
And for
Mm-hmm.
me, it was really important, because I didn't have a specific idea of where I want to go in terms of career, but I wanted to know first who I am.
Mm. That's such an interesting and a beautiful story of this the discovery of identity and kind of creating space and avenues for your life in order for you to be able to discover that identity. What stories would you say kind of best represent that experience? You did say that you kind of were asked a lot where you're from, but if we were to think back of the stories that shaped, right, that identity discovery, that shaped, some of the things that you can say that they formed the formative years of, this multicultural vessel that is who you are right now. Are there some stories that come to mind?
In terms of movies or
Yeah, so stories that resonate with how, when you were growing up, that you'd say, this is a story from when I was 5, and this is what happened, and this is, resembles that nuance between identity and, being in Europe, and having Moroccan background, right? So do
yeah.
you have those stories that can help shape a picture, an idea for us to understand what that experience was like?
I don't have specific stories, but I remember I grew up listening to a lot of music. And for me, that's one of the advice I give to the youth is listen. You know, you can learn a language through the music, and for me, connect with my origins. I listened a lot to some Moroccan songs, Moroccan traditional songs, and even though when I was little, I didn't understand what I was saying, but then I understood later that it was talking. We were talking about wedding. We were talking about the grandma. We were talking. I mean, there were different things that I was talking about my husband in a song when I was only 5, and I didn't understand what I was singing. But singing these songs, even when you don't understand, it helps with the pronunciation. And then later on, when you grow up, you go and you try to translate the song, and you understand what they're talking about, what are the traditions. And music is really important in Africa. And I
Mm,
grew up a lot with a lot of music around me, and this is something. I mean, it's like when you eat something and it reminds you of when you were a kid. And me,
yeah,
it's when I listen to some specific songs, it takes me back
takes you
to my
back.
grandma.
Yeah.
To my grandma's house. And when and then I can close my eyes and I'm there. I'm in Morocco. I'm by the beach. I'm with my cousins and with a lot of noise, a lot of people dancing, and dancing is really important as well.
Yes, yes. So you traveled back and forth between Morocco and France quite a lot as you were growing up.
Not enough.
Okay,
No, I mean we used to travel every summer, so it was
okay,
enough.
okay. So you were able to experience then both those worlds, right? And be able to see both those worlds physically.
Yeah, yeah,
Which
totally.
I think is to some degree important because then it kind of would you say it shaped your storytelling desire to be able to tell these different stories from these different perspectives. Was that the thing that led you to wanting to tell stories?
Yeah, it's part of the journey, but
Mm-hmm.
not only. I mean, to be totally honest and transparent with you, what triggered me is now I have kids. I'm a mom, and it's my because my husband is half Moroccan and half French, but he's more French than Moroccan. And
Mm.
my kids, they don't have the same connection with Morocco as I have. And for me, it's sad. It's a little bit sad. It's because we don't have the same tradition as we had when I was growing up with my family. But it's also the fact that when my daughter was around 8, she came back from school and she was upset because somebody told her that she's Arab. And she said, I don't understand why they call me Arab. I'm French. And I said, yes, you're French, but you're also Moroccan, and you should be proud of that. And then when the kids were kind of bullying her because she has curly hair and she looks Moroccan. And I told her,
Mm.
if they say that you are Arab, first they are mistaken because you're not Arab. Arab is from Middle East, so they need to learn. And
Mm-hmm.
then it's also you are Moroccan, so and you are pretty because you're Moroccan. So and then I was teaching her the fact that she should be proud of that, and she didn't understand that immediately because for her she was French, no question. Even though she was traveling to Morocco with us, she doesn't speak Arabic. Just she understands a few words because I try to speak to them. But for me, it was important not for my kids, but for the bulliers to understand and to I might be naive, but for me, there's no racism, it's ignorance. So you need to
Mm.
learn, and if you know, maybe there won't be racism. And first, the kids were mistaking and telling her Arab, you Arab, and they were like, well, you are Arab. And no, first, she's not Arab, she's Moroccan. And then get to know what is Morocco. And go to Morocco, go to Africa and see how beautiful is Africa, how the kids are like you. And ignorance is really something that we need to fight, and that's why
Mm.
I like to tell these stories, not only for people from the diaspora like us, but for the others as well.
Mm. I like that. I like the approach for it, right? And would you say that your lecturing background and your academic background plays a role in the the decision to utilize storytelling as a vehicle to teach and to educate? Does that correlation come together?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I
Mm.
started my career 20 years ago in the animation industry. I started to work in the Japanese animation. And I saw the power of Japanese anime and the culture that we get to know through animation and through the mangas, through everything that they share in storytelling. So everybody's familiar with the food in Japan. Everybody's familiar with how Japan looks like. It's
Mm.
because of the anime most of the time. And I said, okay, get inspired with what they did with Japan, with Japanese animation. Why not do that with our countries in Africa? And storytelling and animation, it's targeting kids, and it starts really early, but it's not only targeting kids, because we have a lot of grown-ups
Mm-hmm.
who watch anime. Those kind of shows. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a good medium to spread the stories, the cultures, and to fight ignorance.
Mm. How did you end up within that Japanese anime world? What would you say was the journey to getting to that particular point? If you can share that with us as well.
Yeah, I mean, as I love to say that animation. I mean, I didn't choose animation; animation chose me. I was not, I, I didn't study cinema or animation, but I wanted to work first in stand-up comedy. And in
Interesting.
this industry, I wanted, because I used to work with a famous stand-up comedian in France, and I was just taking care of his clothes because he had a lot of costumes, and this industry was really fascinating for me. I was 18, and I wanted to explore that, and I struggled to find a job in Paris. And I took some improv as well when I was a teenager. And I was fascinated by the stage and being on stage. And at some point I dreamt to be an actress. I wanted to be an actress when I was
I can
really
see
young.
you on my screen. I can see you on my screen.
Coming soon. Yeah, but then it was so complicated. And at some point, to tell you the whole story,
Hmm.
I sent my resume to a lot of companies in France. After I finished, I studied in university just for 3 years. I didn't get my degree. I stopped at some point because I was missing the adrenaline and the energy of
Hmm.
this kind of industry with the shows and stage. And so I sent my resume to many companies in Paris, production companies that do these kind of shows. And at some point, a lady called me, and she told me that she received my resume, and and she said that I need to remove the experience that I had with this stand-up comedian, because she said that I lied on my resume when it was not. It was true. I worked with this guy,
Mm.
and she was super super mean, and I didn't understand. I was young, and I was like, okay, why? And she said, no, you liar. It's not because I grew up with this guy. We grew up in the same.
Mm.
We were in a working class suburb, and we were all growing up together. We took improv together, and then I worked with him. And she said, no, it's not because you grew up in the same city that you worked with him, so stop lying. And then she told everybody in Paris that I was a liar.
Oh
So
no.
it was like super super painful first experience. And then I was in a kind of depression for a few months because I didn't realize what's going on. And
Mm.
at first I thought my career was over, even it didn't start and it was already
Mm.
over. So I was looking for another way. I mean, after a few months of just sleeping and not going out and crying all the time, I called one of my sister who used to live in San Francisco, and I told her I need to get away from Paris. I need to see another city, meet other people. Can I stay with you? And she said, yes, sure. And she had a little girl at this time. And I said, yeah, but maybe if you can find me an internship, maybe I can work with your husband. If I can get an internship by the time I'm there to get some experience and improve my
Mm.
English. And she said, let me ask. We had this conversation in September, and in January, I was in San Francisco doing my internship in the Japanese animation company. So
Okay.
this is how it happened.
Wow. And it's kind of like the way it's like you were meant to be there. It's like you were supposed to be there, because if any door had opened in Paris for you, you could have had a completely different trajectory in your career right now. You know
Totally.
what I mean? Like it, the way. So then you get to San Francisco and you kind of get into this internship. Excuse me. What then happens from there?
From there, I mean, being in the US, uh, people there, they are different than in Europe. They don't pay attention to your resume or to the degree or not degree that you
Mm.
have, but your personality is important. And me, I was a little bit shy, not very confident. But my bosses, because I had three bosses, and they quickly understood that I was good at selling, and they saw my potential before me. They were like, "Oh, maybe, I mean, I was the assistant of the distribution department, so working with all the sales team in distributing content and also merchandising. So I've learned everything when I was there, and they were so kind. And I didn't work with my brother-in-law, but I worked with all the team, and super, super nice. And every time they gave me a deal memo, and they say, okay, read that and ask me questions. And I had questions in every sentences. So this is how you learn, and don't be
Yeah.
shy. And don't be shy. And I was like, okay. And little by little, I gained a little bit of confidence, and they told me, yeah, you should keep working in this industry. You have a future there. And now they are super part of who I am today,
Mm.
because it's because of them, because I had the chance. And also it's fate. As you said, I was not meant to be working in the other industry. I was meant to work in animation, and I didn't know by then.
Yeah.
I had to go through this experience, and sometimes you want to go this way, and there's something pushing you to the other way. And it can be painful. It can be painful, but yeah, believe there's something for you, something that's meant for you,
Mm.
even if it's hard. And every time, even now, if every time I'm sad or upset, or I'm facing some struggles, I'm like, it's gonna pass. Breathe,
Mm.
pass.
And I think your story is very could really resonate with someone who is not allowing the flow, because I think what you are beautifully able to do was allow for that, firstly kind of do the call to go to San Francisco, but then allow whatever happens from there to happen. Do you know what I mean? Like getting into the company, listening to directions and paying attention to how things are done, and not staying in that state of despair. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? You didn't stay there. You kind of made a decision to kind of step out, and then things are going to flow from there. And I think a lot of people get stuck with, especially in our industry, get
Yeah.
stuck within that there's no opportunities, there's nothing for me to do, therefore I'm just gonna give up. And then San Francisco was the stepping stone to then your love for animation, introduced you to animation. Did you then fall in love with animation as an industry, or with the distribution side of on the sales side of the industry, or did you kind of feel like your calling in as a whole was specifically within the animation industry?
I mean, I think I discovered everything, and I understood very quickly the power of animation.
Mm.
Not only the power of the stories, but the power of the money that you can make in animation. And working for this company, they were distributing mangas, merchandising, anime, and now you realize that is an industry. It's not only leisure. It's not only something that you watch just for fun. It's a business. And then when you understand how the business work, you got the power, and then you use this tool to tell stories and to share some strong messages. And by this time you can also make money, and you need to understand how the market works and how to interact with the buyers. And one of the things that I discovered myself as well. And one of my boss told me, you have super strong networking skills, and it is super powerful,
Mm.
and you need to cultivate that. And I was like, really? Am I good? But to get back to what you said about the people that maybe sometimes they give up. You know
Mm.
why I didn't give up? it's because also it's a personal story that happened to me. It's my brother, one of my brothers. He's 7 years older than me, and he had a stomach cancer when he was 30. And luckily he recovered, and he doesn't have a stomach anymore. But it was very complicated, and we thought he was going to die. And I was 23 when it happened.
Mm.
And seeing your brother losing a lot of weight, and I mean, you don't know if he's going to survive or not. And it put things in perspective. I always say that life is short.
Yeah.
you, Life is short, and you never know what's going to happen to you. I mean,
Mm.
and every time there's an opportunity that happens to me, and sometimes I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
don't know if I can take it. I mean, why did I say yes? You know,
Yes.
and
Yes.
and but sometimes I feel like I say yes too quickly. But I jump on opportunities. Like once I got invited in Jamaica for a music event. I said yes, but I was like, what music? I'm not in the music industry. But yeah, let's go. But they wanted
Yeah.
me to talk about music and animation, so I talked about that. But I jump in the important opportunities, the invitation that I receive, and I go. Because I know that it can stop. you know and
Any
you never know. I
moment.
mean, maybe the industry, maybe I can lose a lot of money, or maybe the worst can happen to me personally. I mean, I can get stuck in a bed, and if I get in the bed without the ability to walk anymore, I will be full of regrets, and I don't want to have any regrets in my life. And that's why when I had my kids, very not very young, but young, at a young age, because I thought that, yeah, it's the right time, and I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait.
Mm.
It's now. It's now. And every time I do something, that's why I took the risk to launch my company right before COVID with no money, because I feel like it's the moment and I can do it. Even if sometimes I'm like, okay, I don't understand everything, I don't know everything, but I can learn. I can learn,
Mm.
and I'm not stupid. And if there's something that I don't know, I will ask people who know.
Oh no.
But life is too short, life is too precious. So don't waste any minutes, don't waste any time, and yeah, go for it as long as you have your health. Yeah.
Yeah, and I that story again, I think it could resonate with a lot of people who are really kind of in a space now where they want to start taking those leaps. As you said, it's a new year, and I
Mm.
think a lot of people are in that, have that feeling, but don't really know how to go about navigating that feeling right now. And for you, having to have spent time within that space and have learned within that particular company, what would you say are some of the things that you took from that experience, and from all these years that you've learned within animation, that you then, when starting your company in 2019, you knew that I have all of this insight, I'm ready to then kickstart off in my own lane.
What I understood is the power of network. And I have a huge network now. I mean, it's 20 years of being in
Yeah.
this industry, and I have a good reputation. Reputation is really important. And I connect with people easily. And also, you know, I, it's a matter of good education. My parents, they told me respect. So I respect everybody, from the people who are cleaning the office to the CEO. I will show the same respect to the people.
Mm.
So the importance of the network is really powerful, and all the skills that I've learned during my journey. Because as I said, I don't have the degree, but I've learned everything through the experiences. Because I'm not afraid to say I don't know. I ask questions, and I learn. I've learned during the process, and I've learned. And when I came back to Paris after my internship in San Francisco, I started as a sales assistant again, because I knew I had to learn. I had to, and little by little, I showed the people that I know. I know how to distribute content. I know how to make good sales, and I'm not shy, and I'm not afraid to connect with the people. So be at ease and be confident to talk with people, to network. I mean, networking can happen anywhere.
Anyway.
Anywhere. I mean, and I mean, talk to everybody because you don't know who you're talking to. Sometimes it's the CEO of the biggest company, but he's looking like a hobo, you know.
And you just never know. You just never
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I
You
think
need to be kind to everybody.
it's a skill. It's a definite skill. I think we need to have conversations about a lot more. The skill of being kind of speaking to everyone, of being approachable to everyone, and making sure that you don't pass people by because of how they look, or because of the assumptions that this is how they should look if they're in a particular position. And a lot of people lose opportunities because of that. Do you know what I mean? So I think we need to factor that conversation into a lot more when we have these conversations. What conversation were you having with yourself when you were in 2019, when you decided to start the company? What made you feel like this is the right time and that you are now ready to launch your company?
Again, it was another difficult situation that made me take the step forward. It's,
Mm,
you know, I had a previous company where I was partnering with people, and it didn't work, and it ended up badly. And you
mm.
know, the company we started it in 2018 with two partners. And when I decided to leave, my one of the my ex business partner, he told me that I will never be an entrepreneur because I'm not made for that, and I'm not even a good salesperson. And when he said that to me, I said, okay, watch
We'll
me.
see. Yes.
So he left me with
Wow.
no money, with no money. But now I'm proving him wrong. You know, I won an award. I'm like doing good. People want to work with me, and yeah. So watch me.
Mm,
Don't listen to
mm,
people. I mean, if you know what you're capable of, I mean, if you prove during your career that you are capable of doing things, don't let people with their lack of confidence, you know, report all their trust issue on yourself. And yeah, you're not defined by the people, by the judgment of the people, but by who you are and who you decide you are.
mm. And I mean, all with all this skill that you have and all this knowledge and insight, that would is enough to carry you, to be able to venture within entrepreneurship. And what were you hoping that your company was going to provide within the industry and kind of really bring to the industry as you were kind of in the process of developing it?
Yeah, I mean, the purpose of my company is really to put a big focus and highlight on the talents in Africa. And what I want to do, and I'm working on that, I'm developing some projects that comes, I mean, animation projects coming from Africa. I mean, I say Africa, and I know that it's a continent, and I'm,
Another country.
because I'm working with multiple countries. I'm working with South Africa, with Cameroon, with
Mhm.
Mozambique, and with Morocco, of course, and Egypt. So I have multiple projects that are in development. So hopefully they will see the light soon. And yeah, the idea is to work with the talents in the continent and help them rise and be known and make the content travel, make the content be broadcasted internationally. And that's what I bring to the continent. It's because I have this network, this international network, these skills to distribute the content and to produce as well. And based in Paris is a good advantage for me because I have access to a lot of funds and to a lot of producers that I can work with. And this is what I want to do, build bridges between Africa and the rest of the world.
And kind of export African stories to the world, which I think is such a right now it's such a desperate need that the voice of Africa goes out into the world. When it comes to the producing side of things, what have you found and seen as a challenge within producing for Africa, in order for African stories to kind of go out into the world? But what have you seen as a challenge and a struggle when working with African creatives within that regard, in a producing capacity?
I mean, the industry is young in Africa, and so the studios are small. And most of the time in many countries, I mean, that's the majority of the countries in Africa, we don't have access to funds, to public funds. And it's a struggle because animation costs a lot. It brings a lot of money, but first you have to invest. But also, I mean, most of the studios I'm working with, they are made of 10 people, where in France, I mean, in Europe, in America, you have studios that are made of hundreds of people, and we have access to public funds. We have access to European funds. We have a lot of help that we don't have, because the industry is young and it's in the process, and we need to talk to the politics so they understand the power of this industry that is really an industry, not only something for fun. I mean, the young generation. I mean, we know that the people are really young in the continent, and the future, we keep saying that the future is in Africa, but we need the money to build big studios and to help with the production of the content.
Mm. And when working within the animation industry, across the board from different countries and with platforms and studios and distributors across the world, what would you say from an expert point of view? What makes the animation industry different to, say, the film industry or the live action industry? And what is the profitability kind of difference within those two? Which one is more profitable from your point of view, that one would say when thinking about entering, this might be a better option or that might be a better option? What's your take on that?
I mean, just take the example of COVID during the lockdown, where we were
Mm.
all locked down. I mean, animation didn't stop because we just need a
Mm.
computer. We just need a
Mm.
computer, internet, a good internet, and you don't need to be on set. You don't need to have actors present live. You can record the session through your computer. So that's one of the advantage that we have. And again, animation takes time, but also we have different formats. We can have shorts, we can have series, we can feature, and in the meantime, I mean, you can start with a short animation, and meanwhile, you work on your series. And there's always a demand for kids content because there are also many kids worldwide, and that's the difference that we can see. And I will not say that it's more profitable to work in animation industry, but we have this big advantage of working from home whenever we are stuck, and when we just need a good internet connection.
Which could also be another challenge within Africa as well.
Yes.
But I think there isn't enough education or even kind of insight that's raised about this. And this is why I asked that question, because a lot of people don't understand, as you said, that there is sustainability with it. It's a little bit different to film, and now because there's an influx within the TV and the film, that there's a lot of young people are not even aware that you can also take this route as well, and you're still telling stories, right? And you're still, creating narratives and so forth. So I think going forward, and I like what, the which is where we kind of met at the Cape Town International Animation Festival, where there's an advocacy behind young people consider animation too, right? There's value in this industry as well. And that we don't necessarily all influx within one space and then have a congestion within the space,
Yeah.
because that's what we're seeing now, a limitation of opportunities. And a lot of young people are saying, well, I've graduated, now what?
Mm.
There's nothing, I don't know where to go or what to do. How are you hoping to change things in the industry? How are you hoping to shift things within what you do and within your company, that will kind of leave an imprint and a difference within the industry?
I mean, talking about education, we are working towards having more training programs in Africa.
Mm.
And on my side, I've been doing a lot of workshops and masterclasses talking about the business side of animation. Because the creative need to understand the business if they want, because sometimes they work on a project and they don't understand why it doesn't sell, and you need to understand how the business work, and sometimes you need to understand the market before even starting working on a project. because the market evolves. And also, I mean, you need to know the broadcasters, what are their requirements, what are they looking for. So if you go and do like a series that it has been sold so many times, they're not looking for that anymore. You need to understand what are the formats, how to shape your content, what are the usual duration of content, and how to pitch your content, because it's not something very easy. And this is one of the things that I'm developing, but I'm also trying to build more classes, more schools with in teaching the technical aspects and how to be an animator. Because I mean, you cannot be, I mean, you can be self-taught, but yeah, at some point you need to be more professional, especially if you want to make your career in this industry. You need to have some skills that you cannot learn only by yourself. You need to train. And I know that there are some training programs in South Africa, but we are developing more training programs. There are some in Nigeria, but we need more and more. And it's never enough, because when I see how many schools we have in France, I say, oh.
And you know what I find also quite fascinating is that there's this been, I guess it's due to COVID, but the topic and the conversation around that studios, broadcasters, platforms, they want content. It's like people are, because audiences are like, we've seen all of this before, now we want more. So now these platforms want more content. But then the communication between the platforms and the creators of the content, there's a missing link, right? Where now, because the creators are not aware of the requirements, they're not aware of how they should create the content or what the market really is looking for, then there's that disconnect where there's not enough content, and there are creators creating content, but they're not creating the right type of content. So now they're not able to place the content within the platforms, and now we're in an industry, debacle.
Yeah.
um, and as you're saying, like we can bridge that with education, but how else do you think the industry should be aware? How do we bridge that particular gap of making sure, as someone who works in distribution, what is the missing link, and how do we make sure that we bridge that gap, that the communication goes across effectively between the two role players within content?
I mean, it's in process at the moment. I see more and more studios traveling to markets, because this is where you learn.
Mm.
Markets that are happening not only in France but in Africa as well. As you mentioned, the Cape Town International Animation Festival, or you have the Annecy Festival in France, that is the biggest animation festival. And this is where you meet with the people, but also where you learn, because there are a lot of panel discussions, a lot of keynotes, and you get access to the buyers and you know what they are looking for. And I see more and more African studios that are present in this kind of event, although it's not very cheap to travel, not
Yeah.
very easy. So it's a big investment for them. But through the years, I see more and more studios, and I'm glad, because this is how we can, uh, you know, build a bridge between Africa and the international market, and how they understand the need, and they don't waste their time by working on some shows that won't be sold because they don't understand the market. And
Mm.
sometimes it's a lot of frustration for the creators, because I mean they've been working a lot on one project, and yeah, at some point, animation takes a lot of time, and then when you realize that you were not going in the right direction, yeah, that should be, yeah, can be unpleasant. But when
Mm.
you understand what they are looking for and they need, yeah, but they need to be able to listen and to be patient as well, because yeah, patience is the key. And there's a lot of competition is huge. And competition, I'm not talking about competition inside Africa, but competition worldwide,
Mm.
because they don't have a lot of slots when they want to broadcast the shows. So how do we compete with others? We need to
Yeah.
be present. We need to advertise our content. Communication is something essential, and make sure that you know what they're looking for, but make sure that they know who you are as well.
And you know what I find so fascinating is how much Africa actually consumes animation but doesn't produce animation. Like I know all my brothers and my cousins, I've even watched Dragon Ball Z and like all these different shows growing up. But that kind of that conversation, and I'm so happy that people like yourself are advocating for that, because we also need to start then seeing the crossword going the other way around as well, because Africa is a consuming continent and not
Yeah.
really doing much of the producing. Even platforms that are specific to distributing, and having basis of that particular platform being an animation centric platform. We don't see a lot of that within the continent, and I think there's still a lot of work to do, but I'm glad that we have people like yourself who are taking the lead within that. What are you hoping for this coming year in the future for your career, for your business? Right? What are you hoping that you're going to be continuing to achieve in this 2024?
Yeah, I will continue working on the development of my projects, and also continue to distribute some content and travel. I already have some trips scheduled for this year. I'm really excited because I'm gonna give some I'm gonna be speaking at conferences. I'm gonna do some workshops. Yeah, I will let this come as a surprise for some people because I'm gonna be traveling to some countries I've never been, so it's really exciting.
Nice. It's going to be a great year. It's going to be absolutely a great year. If you were to describe what a distributor is, or what necessarily that particular role entails, as a career option, as a career kind of trajectory, what would you say that looks like?
I mean, distribution is selling. You need to be good at convincing people to buy your content. But before being in front of a buyer, I mean, a broadcaster or platform, you need to do your homework. So you need to do some benchmark research and understand who you're going to talk to. So, and sometimes I go even deeper. I get to know what are their personal life sometimes, to connect with them
Mm-hmm.
and make sure that they have a good time with you. So if they have a pleasant time with you, they will get, whenever you will ask for a meeting, they will be happy to see you again. So as I said, I mean, it's a relationship business. So you build a strong connection with the buyers because you need to know them, you need to know what they're looking for, and then you need to convince them that your content is for them. And if they are convinced by that, then you start the negotiation with them. So we talk about money, we talk about duration of the rights, territories, what kind of rights. And yeah, so you need to understand also the legal part, but you need to work with a legal person, of course. But the first part needs to be negotiated by you, but work closely with a legal person.
And the production that happens before, or do you only come, or the distributor's role only comes in play after the production has been complete and there's a finished product, then ready to be sold?
It depends. It depends
Okay.
on the project. Sometimes you can pre-sell, you know. You pitch the content even if it's in production, and sometimes the broadcasters, they come on board as a co-producer. So
Mm-hmm.
they put money, they will be a co-producer of the project, and they will be the one broadcasting the project. But if they are involved in the production, they have their say on the content. So they will be part of the process.
Yeah, yeah. I think this is valuable information for anyone who might be interested within the field, and to kind of know more about how the dynamics of it work. There's a lot of industry, a lot of career options within
Yes.
animation, within media, within entertainment. And sometimes we funnel our understanding in one way and we miss out on opportunities. And this year is all about taking those opportunities. As you said on earlier on, we're getting things
Yes.
done. Now I'm going to get to the part of the show where I ask you a couple of questions. As you know, we're all things global on the show. So before I say goodbye, I'm going to ask you a couple of global questions, and you're going to hopefully think quick on your feet with this one.
I'll try.
Okay, first global question is, what is your favorite global destination? It's not one. I know. You know, an avid traveler hates that question because it's like, what do you mean I should pick one country?
I will say the US because I love traveling to the US, from New York to San Francisco
Uh
to
huh.
Florida. I mean, yeah, the US.
Okay, the USA. Hmm. I just the way you are like, huh? Favorite global brand or product?
Oh my God. Apple?
Apple. Good, 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 good choice. Good, good, good choice.
I'm so American. I'm so.
No, but Apple is a good one. Apple's a good one. Best global individual or influential leader?
um, I would say Barack Obama. But again, it's an American. I'm sorry.
The French will be like, is she sure she's French? Is she not American?
Even the Moroccan will be
And
upset.
American will be like, at least if you don't go to France, come to Africa. And now you are going the other way. You're going to the US. Okay, but Barack Obama is a good choice, though. I think, I mean, he's a very influential leader, a very strong leader. So I'll take that one. So we've told us the favorite global person, your favorite global destination, your favorite brand or product, your favorite global media and entertainment. So that could be a song, a film, an animation, or anything within the realm of media and entertainment.
An anime that I love is Death Note. It's my favorite one. Should I pick music as well?
Give us music. Give us music and then a film, like a feature film, a live action film.
These days I've been listening to 50 Cent and Best Friends.
Okay. Yeah. I love it. Okay.
And I have a movie. I mean, have two favorite movies when I was growing up. It was Singing in the Rain.
That's a good one.
And Gone with the Wind, but I didn't understand everything, but I understood later.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a beautiful movie still.
Okay. And that sounds American. It is an American film.
Yeah, it is.
It is. Back in the US again.
Maybe, my last trip was in New York, so
yes. And the last one is your favorite global idea or innovation. So something that someone came up with or innovation that you were like, that was good.
I really like LinkedIn. It is a useful platform for us as a professional.
Yes.
That's for me. I have all my network there. Yes, I really like Instagram or TikTok as well. TikTok is not American.
That's so you getting the Asian community is like, okay, we also have something here.
We have Death Note. That's a Japanese.
Death Note. That's right. Okay, 2 points to Asia. 2 points to Asia. So LinkedIn, I think LinkedIn is a good option. I think LinkedIn globally, I mean, wherever you are around the world, you can connect with individuals, like-minded individuals from wherever you are. So I think that's definitely, it stands out for me as well. And yeah, that is all we have in store today. The last time we saw each other, we were in New York. We had a fantastic night. What happens in New York stays in New York, right? Stays in New York. I actually went to that place again this one time, and I was like, I hope they don't see me because the way we left that I'll be like, remember you? You remember how you left? Don't come back here ever again. So I left immediately. I went in for 5 minutes and I was like, I think I'm recognizing some people. Let me leave. So I left immediately. But Yeah, what happens in New York stays in New York. Hopefully, I'll be seeing you very, very soon.
Yeah.
I know you'll be making a trip to the US very soon, so we'll definitely be connecting soon and continue our mischievous deeds in America.
Yes. That's the plan.
Any last words before we say goodbye? What would you like to leave our audiences with? It could be anything from the industry perspective, or just personally.
You know, life is short,
Mm.
so enjoy it and take care of yourself first, and then the rest will follow.
Mm-hmm. The rest will follow, and of course, people are wondering, how do we follow you? How do we engage with you? How do we find your company? Where do we find your company? How do we connect with you? And how do we be in touch with you? So please
So
share
we'll
that
start
information.
with LinkedIn first.
Yes.
You you'll find me on social media. I'm on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on TikTok as well, on Facebook. Yeah.
Yes.
So you connect with me on social media. I always reply. So yeah, look
And
forward.
one thing I want us to, before we leave, to touch base on is your podcast, which I am a super fan of. Please, before we go, briefly share a little bit about it and how one can find and listen to it as well.
Yeah, my podcast is available on Apple and Spotify, and it's Mounia Aram, and it's my journey as an entrepreneur. And some of the things that happened to me I shared with you here, but there are more details, a few episodes available. So, yeah, if you want to know
Yeah.
how I struggled, and I'm totally transparent with everything that happened to me. So, yeah, if you want to get in.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely listened. My sensory lights were like, y'all need to. This
It's time
interview's
to
been
go.
going on. But I've had some time to listen to the podcast, and I laughed a couple of times. I felt like you were talking to me. I was like you were telling me the story like in person. I was like, this is hilarious. So do go check out the podcast. I will be leaving the link to her podcast in the description of this particular episode, so that you can also get to listen to it as well. Thank you so much for your time. I can't wait to
Thank you
see
so
you
much.
soon.
See you soon. Yeah,
Have a
thank you.
fantastic day. And
Bye bye.
that's all we have in store for you at home. Thank you so much for watching. Of course, this is the Vuyo Chimoda Show, coming to you live from New York City. I am your favorite global darling, Vuyo Chimoda. From me and Muna to you with so much love. It's goodbye and have a fantastic day.
Bye.
Cheers.